Well, welcome to the next video here on Get Off My Chest. My name is Garrison Anderson, and this is actually our first video actually discussing something today. And today we will be discussing sports, baseball in particular, Major League Baseball here in the United States, and particularly one club a little further south here in the great state of Texas, the Houston Astros. I'm wearing my Rangers shirt today. And as most people know by now, the Astros have been accused and basically convicted of cheating in the 2017, 2018, and possibly 2019 seasons. It was a big deal. So that was about November of last year, November of 2019, when former Astros pitcher and now currently Oakland Athletics pitcher Mike Fiers became a whistleblower, if you will, and he said that during the 2017 championship runs, they would have a camera out in their center field camera well in center field. And for context, if you want to know where that is, the Astros prior to that year had a hill in dead center field. I mean, it was in front of the fence. I mean, it was up there. It was a triple heaven for all hitters. They removed that in 2017, and now it's a giant hedge in center field. It was around there. They had a camera, and they would relay to the dugout what pitch was going to be thrown, what signs were being given by the catcher to the pitcher. And then they would have somebody, if it was like an off-speed pitch, they'd have somebody literally banging a trash can to indicate that that's coming. And there's video evidence of this. I mean, you can hear, if you go back and watch videos, different YouTube channels that kind of break it down, you'll see that that's kind of what happens. Another method that they used probably a little more recently in 2019 is they used buzzers to communicate with their hitters. And so in the 2019 ALCS against the Yankees, Jose Altuve hit the walk-off home run obviously in the bottom of the ninth inning. But he's coming around third, and it's a lot of fun. Like, you get to see, in players normally, what they'll do is they'll, basically almost dogpile the player that hit the home run. They'll rip off his jersey. They'll do all that stuff. You can see him coming around third saying, "Don't rip my jersey off." And he goes into the dugout and then comes back out and celebrates with his team. There's not a lot of excuse for that. And so that's kind of what pushed it to people to believe that they were cheating, obviously a little more recently than 2017. And so, obviously there were people, up in arms about this, particularly the Yankees and the Dodgers fans. They were cheated out of a title, basically. And that Yankee squad had Aaron Judge. He was really his first true season in the big leagues. Had Gary Sanchez, had good pitching. I mean, it was good. This before they added Giancarlo Stanton. And then the Dodgers, obviously, they basically had the same squad that they did in 2017. Now they've added Mookie Betts in the offseason, but that's a story for another time. So, with that in mind, I'm going to give a hot topic opinion here that the Yankees and the Dodgers were not the ones hurt the most by this. And call me biased here, but I think that the American League West was hurt the most. Not including the Astros, but that would include the Rangers, Texas Rangers, Seattle Mariners, Los Angeles Angels, and the Oakland Athletics. Now, the Mariners caught fire kind of towards the end of the season and made the division lead for Houston pretty close. And the American League teams, West teams, play each other 19 times a year. They always have. And that's how it works in every other division for the most part. You play the divisional teams more than you play anybody else. And so they would play each other, they play each other 19 times. And about half of those games are home and home, basically. You get 10 and 8 normally in one or the other. Or, different variations of 19 games. But the point here is this. If the Astros were cheating the whole 2017 season, and one of those teams happened. Now, the American League West was pretty weak that year in 2017. The Rangers weren't that good. They were mediocre. They were kind of on the downturn. And the Mariners, like I said, caught fire kind of towards the middle end of the season. And the Angels and the A's were kind of still on a little bit of a downturn. But the thing is, if the Astros don't cheat, that playing field becomes a little more even. The Astros didn't make the playoffs in 2016. And it's always good to see a turnaround of a team. Like the Rangers in 2014 were, one of the worst teams in the league, and in 2015 they won the division. But it's one thing to completely miss the playoffs one year, then all of a sudden, and have different numbers. Then all of a sudden, voila, you're that good, just like that. And another thing was the varying statistics that Houston had at home and on the road. At home, they were some of the best hitters in the league. Jose Altuve won MVP that year. He had one of the best averages, people have seen in a long time. George Springer, Carlos Correa, Yuli Gurriel, they were still hitting phenomenally well. Brian McCann was still behind the plate. Evan Gattis was still on that team. They had strong pitching. They had Dallas Keuchel. They added Justin Verlander at the end of that season. And, it's good. You hit better in front of your home crowd statistically just because it's your home crowd. I mean, you should hit better in front of them. But, comparatively, their numbers were about, Jose Altuve's numbers were about 200 points on his average less on the road than at home. I mean, he'd hit like an all-star, at Minute Maid Park, and then go to Dodger Stadium and hit like 165. Like, it's not even, remotely close to, something, you don't have that bad of a turnaround or that bad of a 180. I mean, I don't know one player that's ever done that without, having something assisting them necessarily. And so, that was, bothersome. That definitely raises eyebrows. Like, how do you hit that good at home, but so bad on the road? And it was more than one player. Like, it was George Springer and Carlos Correa and Yuli Gurriel and Evan Gattis. It makes you wonder. So, what I've said so far is that the Astros definitely cheated. They were convicted of it, like I said. The American League West lost more than the Yankees and the Dodgers did. And that the statistics basically proved that they were cheating. Now, one excuse that I've heard more than anything else from Astros fans is that everybody does it. And maybe to some degree that's true. I've heard several sportscasters like Max Kellerman on ESPN's First Take. He said that if you are tipping pitches, that's your fault. You need to hide your signs better. And a player can look, and that's not cheating in baseball. If a hitter is looking down and can see the signs that a catcher is doing, you just need to hide your signs better as a catcher, and maybe mix it up as a battery. That's important to always keep a batter questioning what's going to come next. But he always says if you have technology that only you have access to, then that is an unfair advantage, and that's absolutely right. And if every team does it, then you'd think more teams would have been caught with it by now. And there's only been one other team that has, as Boston. They've been caught with it not once, but about twice in the past few years. They had an issue with Apple Watches. And then they had Alex Cora, who kind of implemented the same thing. Boston won the series. As manager, Boston won the World Series the following year in 2018. They won the World Series following that scandal in 2017, and Alex Cora was the bench manager for the Astros in 2017. So it's very likely that he carried some of that over to Boston, and there was some evidence of that. And then one player that was mentioned, obviously, in the commissioner's report was Carlos Beltran. Carlos Beltran was a member of the 2017 Astros team, and he was actually on a spot as the next Mets manager, and he was fired because of this. And obviously, Alex Cora lost his job with Boston, and AJ Hinch and Houston's GM, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, lost his job. So this has been a continuing mess. And people are always wondering, well, how is the MLB going to handle this? And a lot of people think that Rob Manfred has done a very poor job of handling this situation because he granted the players immunity so he could get information. And in some sense, that's okay because, you're not going to get the truth if you're, pounding the table like in Law and Order. I want the truth. Or in A Few Good Men, I want the truth. You can't, and all you get out of that is animosity between the Astros and the commissioner. But in doing that, the commissioner has isolated himself from the other 2019s in Major League Baseball. So, and a lot of people don't like Rob Manfred anyway. And the thing is, so basically now it's going to be up to the players to discipline the Astros. And particularly the players on the mound that are going to be dealing some discipline to the Astros. People are saying, don't hit them, don't hit them. Well, how else are you going to do it? Stephen A. Smith said, turn your back to it. Literally just turn around when they, their starting lineups are being introduced, as if that's going to do anything. I'm not a, proponent of, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth necessarily. But I think in baseball, there's a certain code of conduct that you have to follow. And one of those things is cheating. Like, if Barry Bonds, confessed to or was, broken out while he was playing of using steroids, there would have been pitchers, throwing at his bat, consistently. And same with like Mark McGwire, same with all those other guys. I'm pretty sure that, they would have gotten several, back bruises from 95 mile an hour fastballs to the back. But the Astros cheated to win. Barry Bonds, I don't think, won a World Series. Mark McGwire, I don't think, won a World Series. I might be wrong on that, but I don't remember him winning a World Series. So they didn't necessarily cheat to win. They cheated, but they didn't win anything out of it. The Astros did, and so that's why the pitchers are going to be throwing at them. I said, it's the Astros are going to lead the league in hit by pitches this year, regardless of when the season starts or not. But we'll just have to see. I think the main thing that should be discussed is this. Why, if this is happening all over Major League Baseball, why were the Astros the only ones caught doing it? Is there, a system between, Texas and the Yankees that are, they're, conspiring to remove their, arch rivals from, the Major League complex? Well, not necessarily like kick them out of the MLB, but, like isolate them? I don't think so. I think Houston knew what they were doing. They acted, on full, and they acted with full sense that they knew what they were doing, and they are going to pay the price for it, whether that come from the commissioner or from the players themselves. So there's just, I'm as a Rangers fan, I'm particularly irate because of that. As you know, the Rangers may know, the Rangers have missed out on several playoff opportunities, particularly one in 2011 and 2010. They made the World Series those years and just couldn't do it. Obviously, the 2011 World Series is the one more remembered out of the two. But I go around and tell people and say, I would rather lose the two as a Rangers fan. I would rather watch my team lose back-to-back World Series the way that they did than have my team cheat to win just one. The Astros have only won that one World Series so far. And it looks like they might not be able to win one again at this point. So let me know your thoughts on the Astros down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe. Email your questions to getoffmychest2020, and it's get_off_my_chest2020 @gmail.com, and I will answer, hopefully if you send in the questions, I will answer them in my next video. So thank you guys for watching again. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and God bless, guys.